welcome to Bulls and Red, your RB Leipzig podcast, which is at home at Leipzig. And we're producing this one for everyone who wants to listen to us. And we don't care wherever you are, guys, on this little planet. This is your weekly RB Leipzig podcast, which takes you into our little RB Leipzig world and brings you up to speed with things happening around the club, around the fan base, in our city, and what else ever comes to our mind. But first, I would like to welcome the brain of the podcast. Richard, how are you tonight?
Good evening, Mario. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm fine. Was like Thursday night. One of my favorite nights because only one more day with work and then 2 days off. Great stuff. And, 3 home games in a row. I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait.
It's going to be slightly stressful, but here we go. Something to look forward to. And it's election day in Germany on Sunday. Very important. So everyone who lives in Germany and is eligible to vote, get out there and vote. Now, today we have to look back at the Augsburg match, and we're also going to have a look at the current state of RB Leipzig in regards to vision and a little survey we've done last week in German, though, and there's going to be a bit of explanation about it from our point of view with the background that we have here in Leipzig. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at our next opponent on Sunday, which is FC Heidenheim, who are playing right now is it the Conference League?
Yes, it's a Conference League, yeah.
So that's the final we're going to have next year here at Leipzig, isn't it? Finale daheim.
Yeah, and we got a decent chance to participate, or at least to have a chance to participate.
I think this, I don't know, it comes to my mind that this might be the cunning plan they have, but hopefully not. Anyways, let's look back at the Augsburg match, which took place, when was that? Last Sunday?
No, last Friday.
Last Friday. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was Valentine's Day.
Almost a week ago. And the reason why I kind of erased it from my memory is because it had very similar vibes to the Union Berlin match. And, we could have taken our review of our Union match and put it in this episode, but we didn't want to. But it was pretty much the same old thing, isn't it? And although I remember during the Union match, for the last 15 minutes, Richard, you saw some silver lining. Is that something you recognized again versus the Augsburg match? Probably not.
Yeah, well, now not formation-wise, not strategy-wise, but player-wise, because we our our newest addition from Yugoslavia.
Yeah, almost said that as well. We kind of have a flashback to old times in this world. Come on, forgive us that we talk about Yugoslavia.
Okay. No, I'm very sorry. From Serbia, Mr. Nedeljkovic, who brought significantly life to the Red Wing. Mm-hmm. Right wing. Red Wing is in Detroit.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that was that silver lining I spotted in that match, but you said it was pretty much the only thing. And it's hard to talk about this game because it's not only that it's now almost a week ago, but, there were hardly moments to remember.
I know.
So it was just another, boring and, not really entertaining match from our lads.
And that was really sad because what was really surprising to me as well is that the Augsburg team felt that they should have won that game. And instead of getting 3 points, they only got 1. The Leipzig team, well, in regards to what Marco Rose's comments were, well, he saw positive things to build on. It's a bit of corporate speak, the same old, that is getting old now. And that is not something that filled me with a lot of confidence and optimism, so to speak. The only thing I take away from this, hey, they have another full week of training, and I expect a glorious, spectacular display on Sunday at home versus Heidenheim. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So we got a point from Heidenheim. We didn't score. We haven't conceded any goals for 3 Bundesliga matches in this Rückrunde. And did you say we're still undefeated in this Rückrunde?
Still
undefeated.
Yes, still the other loss. And you know what? We played that last match, without Orban and without Nusa, and I did not spot any difference compared to the matches when they were on board. So it leads me to the conclusion that most likely ain't got nothing to do which personnel we put on the pitch, but with the basically a strategy that Marco Rose gives to all that.
Seems like it's hidden a little bit, but anyway. Let's move on from that, and let's talk about something that we put out last week on Twitter. We ran a little survey where we wanted to know what would reignite the fans' passion about RB Leipzig. The reason for that is, for a long time, RB Leipzig had a clear vision, and we all had a clear vision as well when we followed RB Leipzig, and that was to be in the Bundesliga one day and not to disappear from that quite quickly. And also to be able to play international football, which we've done for all of these seasons instead of apart from the first one, where we, of course, couldn't qualify. And almost every season that was Champions League football, apart from 1 year where we appeared in the Europa League. So that was the vision. Also winning a domestic title. So we've done that twice. Well, 3 times actually. And now the question is, without actually seeing the clear idea and how to play on the pitch and how have a good idea about the way RB Leipzig is playing. It used to be the RB Leipzig DNA of the attacking, counter-attacking football. That is something that is missing at the moment. And at the moment, a lot of people are asking themselves, where is RB Leipzig going? What is happening? So we asked the question, what would you be passionate about in the next 2 years? And we gave people 4 options. One was to be the champions of the Bundesliga, to win that Schale finally. Also, the other option would have been to be champions of Europe, to win the Champions League. And a third one is, but that was a bit more on the comical side, participation in the final at home in 2026, which is the conference final taking place in Leipzig. But the 4th option would have been a team that is enjoyable, that is fun, and that just leaves room for a lot of interpretation. We'll come to that in a second. Now, having said that, 70% of all the people who voted went for the last option, a team that is fun and enjoyable, and that is something which I would go for as well. And let me just explain why. You know, it could mean that if you have a team which is fun, that means, well, there's a team that can win trophies, of course. And it doesn't matter if it is a championship or the Champions League or a domestic title, that doesn't matter as long as they win trophies. Or it could also be a team which is just playing entertaining, attacking football like we had, you know, especially the first year when we came to the Bundesliga. The team did this very much to perfection, that it was a young, wild team, and finishing second in that first year with very attractive football matches that were spectacular, and we love to watch it. But it could also mean that it is a team that's very smart, plays in a very smart and effective way, and effective football. And my view is, what I would love to see is, I would love to see a team which oozes confidence. They just have so much confidence that transmits to us fans as well. So when we go into the matches, it's not like many times this year, okay, what can we expect? Our squad is depleted. We haven't got all the players available in the right positions. No, we might have to be lucky to get a point. Of course, there were situations when we were pleasantly surprised. You know, when we beat Eintracht Frankfurt, the atmosphere was excellent in the stadium as well. But we hadn't had so many beautiful games like in this last season. You know, I remember Stuttgart, the second half. I remember Cologne, that 6-0. Those were just brilliant matches. So I would love to see a team again which wants the ball, wants to have lots of ball possession, and actually knows what to do with it, especially versus teams that park the bus. Be patient, and us being confident that this team will find solutions, will score eventually once, twice, or 3 times. And I want to see a team that takes the other team apart, which is clearly not as good as us. You know, like coming up Sunday, I would love to see RB Leipzig winning that convincingly 4 or 5-0, to be honest, because we're such a confident team. And if I look at the names, at the people we have in our squad, we should be that. So in my mind, when I look back, the team that came closest to that for a certain spell was the team which was coached by Julian Nagelsmann. I admit towards the end of his stay here at Leipzig, things got a bit complicated, and I think he got a bit complicated in his mind as well, and players might have not really know what to do. And of course, in his mind, he was already in Munich, same as Sabitzer, so that didn't help either. But that's a different kind of story. But there was a long spell when I felt really confident about the team. The team oozed with confidence, and they had a beautiful style of play. And they were able to change tactics during the match when things didn't go right. Either the coach gave the impulse or the team did it themselves as well. And it might be the case right now that tactics are changed, but it's not recognizable for us. So maybe we're not doing that justice, but the outcome speaks for itself, because lots of times the outcome isn't a different or a better outcome. So that's what I would like to see. That's what it would be for me. But I recognize, given the option, what is the team that would entertain you and give you a lot of fun and joy is different for everybody. And you, Richard, you may have a different opinion what this would mean to you. I know when I asked you about the survey, which option would you go for? And you said, I want a team that's fun, that's enjoyable. But what does that mean to you?
Well, I would like to see lads that are working their arses off,
They fight.
It's not, so to speak. It's not a particular way of how to handle the ball. So you told us about, hey, you want to see a team that has a lot of ball possession and knows what to do with it. To me, honestly, I don't care. I watched the City Real Madrid match yesterday, so the second leg in the UCL playoff stage. And as far as I remember, Real Madrid hadn't had a ball much, but when they had a ball, they had a clear plan. And it was like, okay, come on, let's put on all the velocity we have in our individual players and go for a quick strike. Mm-hmm. And, to execute it that way, you need top-class individual players like Mbappe or Mini or, all the other world-class players in this squad. And I know it's maybe not the correct approach, the right approach, or the approach you should follow if you want to win games with the quality of players that RB Leipzig has. But on the other hand side, we had played that way. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you listen to people who allegedly know a lot about football, or you read something. That's not the style anymore. Football has developed further. But as far as I watched that match yesterday, I would tend to disagree. But anyway, it's not, for me personally, it's not depending on the playing style to judge something. Hey, that was fun to watch. It's the work ethic that you need to show, okay, and some kind of creativity, and this creativity can come from quick play, from quick strikes, from counter-attack play, or it can come from what Leverkusen does, from counter pressing, or if necessary, playing from the whole lot of ball possession time. But either way, right now at present, our lads, unfortunately, are not able to put on the floor any of those qualities. So we talked in the German version of our little podcast last time, and I would like to present this particular thing here again. The last goal we scored, they came from an open play and came from some kind of designed playing style, was the 3-0 versus Bochum when Baumgartner scored. So it was Simmons who found on the left wing, Baku in the half in the middle, and he played a deep ball right back to the left side. So Raum could manage the deep run, and then you put in the crosser, and it was Baumgartner there, like near of the 6-yard box, and just put his toe onto the ball, and it just crossed the line. I know that those staged plays don't work anytime, but I want to see them. I want to see them executed. And that's what I'm missing. And all other goals that we scored afterwards were like own goals. Remember Leverkusen, or set plays, or in the 3 games we didn't even score.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have much chances to score. So besides the header from Nedeljkovic versus Augsburg that hit a crossbar, and the other chance, and he arrived afterwards that went wide, not much on display. And so it was versus Union Berlin and versus St. Pauli as well. So because the first shot on goal was the 1-0 and the second was a 2-0. And I told you, we talked about it in the last episode. And that's what doesn't make it fun to watch right now. And I don't care really if we are finishing in the top 4 or even in international football. I just want to have fun to watch, and I want the players to put all they got for the whole 90 minutes and show some kind of creativity. And that's all I demand. And yeah, well, you can have fun going into the stadium. Although, the best thing your lads are fighting for is, in the table in like from place 8 to 12. But it could be fun, and it could be more fun than right now. And the interesting is, I think it got something to do with being spoiled. Have you watched the match Bayern Munich versus Celtic on Tuesday night?
Yeah, parts of it.
Okay. And I saw it and I was like, okay, it's not the best match Bayern ever showed, but they were not bad at all. They had so many chances, so many shots within the penalty area, so many progressive passes in the opponent's half, in the final third, and so many opportunities to score. And at the end of the match, I think they got 2.6 something X goals. And sure, in the end, they were a little lucky that they came off with a draw and did not have to play an extra time. But after the match, when I swiped through some websites or social media, it seemed to me that a lot of Bayern supporters were like, hey, that's the worst game we've ever played since like Oliver Kahn retired or something like that. And wow, we got lucky to get away with the point here, and so on, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I watched the game, and the whole that 90 minutes, I thought, man, that would be great if our lads would play one game like that. What I'm trying to say is, it's not about the outcome. I want to have fun, and Tuesday night, I had fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, if you are maybe spoiled with football from another level, you consider what the Bayern players did on Tuesday night not as fun to watch. So maybe it's just a question of the perspective.
It's an interesting view, and it actually links to the next part that I would like to talk about, the perspective. Because if you look at the football that RB Leipzig plays right now, it's not fun to watch for us, those fans from in and around Leipzig, or the people who follow them over here and actually go to the stadium. Just imagine the people who have to watch it and endure it during strange hours in different parts of the world, if they follow RB Leipzig, and watch it via TV. And there they might be a little bit more demanding, I might say. I mean, you could be forgiven just to think that they look at this and they go, "What the heck is this?" For a long, long time, RB Leipzig is playing entertaining football. They were successful, but and we thought the next step, is being German champions or getting very far in the Champions League. But right now, there is little idea visible how they want to play on the pitch, what kind of tactics they're pursuing, and where the club is going. And the identity is sort of hidden as well in that sense. Could be that well. And you could be forgiven to think, okay, shouldn't there be much more criticism, uproar, upheaval here in Leipzig amongst his fans? And there isn't. It's quite calm. And I would like to share a little story that I heard from a guy in the stadium who's been season ticket holders for more than 10 years, longer than me, and who's actually from Leipzig. And it might give you a little bit of an indication of why it is quite calm over here. And it also underpins your explanation as well, why you're satisfied with the team that fights and leaves everything on the pitch, so to speak, but it's entertaining, but it doesn't mean they have to win trophies. and they're in the top 4 spot, but maybe just in the mediocre position. Now, the gentleman I talked to, like I said, has been around, is a season ticket holder for quite a long time. And before RB Leipzig was founded, he was looking for a club that he could support, a local club here in Leipzig. And of course, as you know, and as we've been told all the time by some of the other fans in Leipzig, da gibt's nur Lok und Chemie. In Leipzig, there's only Chemie Leipzig, current name. And 1. FC Lok Leipzig, also current name, who already were around during the East German times. And I think we told you before how they were actually set up. But that's a different story. Now, these clubs are pressed in the 4th tier. At 1. FC Lok Leipzig re-emerged, and you may have to help me, was it 2002 and 2003, after the previous version of that club called VfB Leipzig got bankrupt. So they had to start, I think the lowest tier is the 11th tier, and that is pretty much playing around the city of Leipzig. The team was completely new, but the fan base was, of course, still there. So the gentleman I talked to, he decided to join them, and he went on away matches, which is in the city or just outside the city, on basic pitches, no big stadiums. So all of a sudden, they would be invaded by 200, 300, 400 as the FC Lok Leipzig fans. And what he observed there did really make him decide not to follow that club anymore. 2 big reasons. One was those fans from 1. FC Lok Leipzig, they were really antisocial, hurling insults against the players. Now all these players in this league in the 11th tier are bloody amateurs. They're just hobbyist players, nothing really professional, semi-professional. So, you should be decent anyway. But they were hurling insults really badly. And of course, everywhere they went, they were in the majority. Home supporting fans, if you had them, they were people who knew the players. They were in the minority. They went out with their kids, very young kids. Well, they got insulted as well. And he said, this is just not acceptable. This is not just something he wants to be associated with. He doesn't want to go to a club who represents Leipzig in that bad way. And that might be even the case today, from what he hears sometimes. And another thing that he notices as well, Lok Leipzig had at that time a lot of right-wing extreme people coming into the club, causing all sorts of trouble, being very aggressive, and, well, not behaving according to the values that he has. So that's when he departed and he did not support Leipzig. So when RB Leipzig came along, he encountered that as a safe space, as something open and welcoming, maybe optimistic, with a clear vision and, of course, the funds and the means to do that. But the money is not the only thing. You need a good strategy and you need to execute that strategy. We all know that. And we all know Ralf Rangnick, we still have to thank him forever, I think, for that. So that's what the big difference is. So he really appreciates RB Leipzig as a safe place, a fun place to be, and to watch football, entertaining football, rising up the ranks, and now being able to watch football in the 1st tier, in the Bundesliga, internationally. Leipzig is represented in Germany, Europe-wide, and in other parts like in the United States in a very good way. And we see this from the response where people listen to our podcast as well. Well, it's in a lot of countries around the world. So that is a very positive thing. And that's why I think the patience is much bigger in that sense. You can forgive the team at the moment. Yes, it gets on your nerves when you don't, at the moment, we don't enjoy watching it either. But we enjoy being in the stadium, meeting other friends, talking to other people about football, getting worked up together and hopefully celebrating together and just chit-chatting about RB Leipzig. That's what we enjoy. So I think for a long time, this has been the case over here, and it's still going to be. How this is going to develop, if this continues the next 4 or 5 years in the way we see it at the moment, I don't know. But you, Richard, you had a good thought about this as well. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, because, the question is, hey, why aren't people that upset? Why they don't protesting that much? Or why don't they, arguing and booing, and why there isn't a Rose Out campaign that is supported from a whole lot of RBL supporters. And I think it's got something to do with, growing up with something. The club was founded in 2009. And a colleague of mine who is now like 20 years old, 21, he's a student actually. And he told me, and as we were chatting about, hey, what's the reason RB Leipzig supporters don't travel abroad that much? Why don't they support that much away games and so on? And he told me one thing, and he said something very wise for this young age. And he told me, hey, remember that most people were adults that now supporting the club when the club was founded. And to be really committed to a club, to be a die-hard fan, it's necessary for the most people to grow up with something. And I think he is right, actually, because, I was like, when the club was founded, I was 25 or something, or 26. And you were, a little bit older. We just keep this as a secret. And
where's my walking stick? Oh, I need to plug in my hearing aid. I'm sorry. Battery's running low.
Grandpa, what are you doing again? So, and over the years, I developed some kind of, sympathy or even commitment and to the club, and I'm happy with. And I would consider myself as a true supporter. So when I'm in the stands, I'm like upset when they're not playing good, and jumping around and screaming and shouting. But on the other hand side, as I was an adult when all those things happened, it seems to me that it's something different as if it would happen when I was just a little kid, like 6, 7, 8 years old. Because when you're a kid, all those experiences and influences you are experiencing during your adolescence, or when you're growing up, it's just I think they got much more effect on how deep your connection, your commitment, your passion to one certain thing is. And I think that might be not the only, but I consider as a huge factor, or even considerable factor, why the people are not protesting, but just don't attend anymore. So, we have the quarterfinals in the cup match on a Wednesday night. And if you look how many tickets are available right now, it's hundreds of tickets.
And they reduce the prices. They really reduce the prices. That makes me upset, because as a season ticket holder, you pay more. Thank you, RB Leipzig.
It's like giving it away.
Yeah,
really.
It's true.
The first category price is like, I think it was 30 euros or 25 euros.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Like going back to the times of the dritte Liga, third tier, Bundesliga.
Okay, to be fair, it's holidays in Saxony, so maybe a lot of families are not there, so like traveling away. But on the other hand side, it's still a quarterfinal. And, with a city with 600,000 inhabitants and a stadium with a capacity of 44,000 something, it should be possible to have a sold out venue, even on a Wednesday night in February. And we won't achieve that. And I think it's certainly got something to do with the poor performances in the last months, weeks. And I think, at least a decent percentage of people just like thinking, okay, I don't attend that. I'm not a season ticket holder, but I don't want to spend even 25 or 30 euros and see some shitty football. And it's why because people want to see football and don't want to see their particular club that they are connected since their childhood.
Exactly.
I don't know if this makes sense.
It perfectly makes sense, because on one of our fellow German fan podcasts for fans, they talked about this in the summer last year when the whole thing about the price hike in Sector D was coming up. And also the no-show rate. When they talk about the no-show rate, you see the gaps in the seats. Although people have maybe paid for the ticket because they bought them in a bundle. So one top match and 2 matches which are not so great. And they just decide to go to the top match. And one of the guys said that we're not actually at this stage where we go to the stadium for RB Leipzig matches regardless of who is coming. We choose to go and making that decision upon who's actually coming. So if it is a top team, we definitely go. And if it's a mediocre team or like Heidenheim on Sunday or Wolfsburg again, Wolfsburg, we've seen that too many times. And maybe the last time really put all the people off. That just then people make the decision not to go. And how when I listen to you, think, okay, the link, the commitment is not as deep as somebody who follows, for example, Borussia Mönchengladbach in Gladbach or Schalke 04, because their grandparents and their parents already went to these clubs, and you kind of inherit that and you just grow into it. Now with us, 2009 is not so long ago compared to that. And that's why the commitment and the link is not there, and you would leave games out. How long do you think this would actually take until we get nearer that stage that people would actually go to RB Leipzig, regardless who's coming, or travel to away matches?
Well, I think it's just begun. We're just at the beginning of that. When I remember this, the student I told you recently, he was 5 years old when the club was founded. And he's like in German we say he is the Allesfahrer. You know? So
to every match he's actually going.
He is attending every match. It doesn't
matter where it is.
Life. Yeah, it is his life. And to me it seems, and it is not some certain style of fashion that is now right into it. It's not a phase, because he does this for like now 4 or 5 years. Yeah. As soon as he was allowed from his parents, he got the permission to travel to international away games or Bundesliga away games, he did. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just the beginning of whole generations or more than one generation to come to act like that. And then, we will most likely don't have that much issues to have a sellout crowd every game. Mm-hmm. Remember, I watched Dortmund yesterday, and it was a poor match. So it was, sports-wise, it was just not fun to watch. But 80,000, nevertheless, 80,000 were in the stands. And you know what? Just because it's Dortmund they play, and exactly, we just go there every game. We don't care if we're up 3-0 or 3-0 from the Hinrunde, from the first leg match versus Sporting. And even this poor shape, this poor form that Dortmund is actually in, it wasn't really a chance that they could have get into some kind of trouble in that second leg match versus Sporting, and so it developed. But to be fair, 10 minutes or 5 minutes before the final whistle, there were some gaps in the stands, more than usual. But anyway, for the most time of the match, there was a sold-out crowd.
But look at Schalke in the second Bundesliga.
Oh yeah.
It's or Köln. Okay, so we established the fact it's going to take a bit longer until we get there. Until then, we just hope for better days. And well, there's a new chance.
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
So who's coming on Sunday?
Heidenheim is coming to town. Let me ask you a question. Who was the leader of the table after match week 2?
This year?
Yeah, this season.
Heidenheim.
This season. Yes, correct. It's correct.
If you ask me that way, I have no clue. But lucky guess here. Heidenheim, of course.
Great. You're a true expert. They had a really, really good start into the season. So 2 matches, 2 wins versus St. Pauli and Augsburg, 6-0 goals. It started as good as Bayern did and as we did. 2 wins out of the first 2 games, but had the better goal difference. They were on top of the table that time. And then the further weeks were not bad at all. So in all competitions they were in, they had a strong start. They had 5 wins from the 5 first competitive matches, including Cup and the UEFA Conference League playoffs, and still 7 wins from the first 9 matches in all competitions.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. So, but from the beginning of October, things just getting worse and worse and worse, and even more worse for Heidenheim. So only 4 wins from the next 24 games. And 3 of them came in the UEFA Conference League.
Okay.
Versus Paphos from Cyprus. I never heard of that. Versus Hearts, Scotland club. Okay. And that one win they had last week at Copenhagen in the playoff round.
Quite impressive. Come on.
Yeah, well, Copenhagen is the table leader of the table in the Danish league. So, well, you don't travel there and win every time.
Yeah.
And remember, Copenhagen were in the round of 16 last season's Champions League.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's, and I was like, hey, why is that? And well, it's always hard to figure out what's the key factor. But I think if you look at the roster, it just has to come like that, or even, well, not that bad, but still, it was clear and obvious if you look in who left the club, that they were not on par or on level to hit the same performance that they showed last season. Listen, Kleindienst left the club.
Yeah, I know.
Jan Niklas Beste, who's now back in the Bundesliga at Freiburg, and Dingchi, who was on loan from Werder Bremen. And that 3 players were responsible for almost 2 out of 3 goals last season. So 30 from 46 Bundesliga goals. Of course, Bundesliga, because they had no international business, could not be, as they were fresh promoted from the second Bundesliga. 30 from 46 goals. And if you consider to take assist as well in that calculation, still 61%. So almost 2 out of 3 goals scored or somehow assisted came from that 3 players. And they all left. Kleindienst to Gladbach, Jan Niklas Beste were off to Portugal, and Dingchi back to Bremen. So, and they tried to fill this gap with loans from Paul Wanner and Franz Kretzig from Bayern. Well, I think all those 2 young players have bright futures ahead of them. But obviously, it's a little bit too much pressure, or maybe, well, too much expectations from them to lead the team, to fill the hole. And the other additions were Mikkel Kaufmann from Union Berlin, or Sirlot Conte, who came from Paderborn's German second league. And there was basically all the notable additions they did during the summer. And obviously they tried to develop own players like Schöppner, who has to fulfill much more duties, get much more playing minutes, much more time on the pitch than he had last season. But, as I said, it only 4 wins from the upcoming 24 matches from the decent start. It's just, well, the reason that you can now conclude or consider, hey, okay, that did not work as intended. Okay, so that makes me quite comfortable, quite optimistic for the upcoming clash on Sunday. And I thought, man, it's been a while that Heidenheim traveled to Leipzig, because 2024 they did not appear in the Red Bull Arena because we had to play them at Heidenheim in the Rückrunde 2024, and now we traveled to them again. It was in early October where we took away this ugly 1-0 win. So the last time Heidenheim showed up in Leipzig was on the 2nd December of 2023.
I don't even remember.
If you look at the squad, who was in goal? It was Blaswig, and Paulsen was captain, Forsberg was still with the club. Yes, he was still there. He was still here, and he came in the 78th minute to replace Simmons back in those days. And Schlager was healthy, and Openda know how to convert penalties.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
I should remember one of these days.
And to be fair, it was one of those matches that was really fun to watch. And in the end, we were successful. We prevailed with a 2-1 win. We should have scored like at least 3 or 4 goals. And if you remember, at the end, we were lucky that we got away with the win, because Gimber had a really, really good chance just before this final whistle. And if he had hit the ball like 10 centimeters, or if the ball just when he was like 10 centimeters above the crossbar. And it could have been the other way around. And Bluesky ain't got no chance to ever reach that ball. And so we could have ended up 2-2. And sure, all of those lads, all of them were disappointed, and the crowd as well. But if you're looking back to the match right now, you think, I think at least, okay, hey, we took away the win and it was fun. But if we would have not took away the win, it would have been still fun to watch because you had so many chances. It was just a great playing style with a great approach.
Something we don't remember anymore. What that looks like.
We had great creativity, quick game, deep runs, crosses, shooting from all cylinders.
Jesus.
We took our chances. Yeah, we were like not anxious at all. Yeah. And so, in all those qualities that we didn't see in the recent weeks. And I'm quite optimistic that we will prevail again versus Heidenheim. Not only that they're just not in a good form and that they obviously ain't got not enough Bundesliga level players right now. And the other thing that makes me quite optimistic is they are playing right now. So as we're recording, it's a quarter to 9 European Standard Time and +1. And they are in
extra time. Yeah.
They're in extra time versus Copenhagen. And I don't think this is a disadvantage if they have to run off their asses for like 30 minutes more and then have to travel to Leipzig and play again 3 days later. So, well, do they have some players to watch? Yes, they do. Although they are not great at all. Not great yet. To be fair, not great yet. Because take a look at their number 13. It's Franz Kretzig, and number 10, Paul Wanner. I mentioned them already. They're all known from Bayern, and I think it's the next generation Thomas Müllers or the next generation Bastian Schweinsteigers. Yes.
Jesus.
Well, they're not there yet. But remember where Schweinsteiger was when he was like 20, and he was with Lukas Podolski, and he was a prospect and not more. Or even Philipp Lahm, who was on loan at Stuttgart.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, remember. It's been some Thursdays, and I think they both got a bright future ahead of them, and I don't think that they are now already in a point in their career where they can lead a team. I think they will need much more, or at least 1 or 2 more seasons to be on that level. But nevertheless, they're fun to watch. So one is a little bit more offensive minded, the other one a little more defensive minded. But hey, take a look at them. Number 13, number 10. I think at least one of them will have a bright future, even in the national team. And all of those lads, all of those people that are attending the stadium on Sunday might remember, hey, do you remember in late February 2025 when we saw that young guy? Oh, yeah. Now, incredible that he was with Heidenheim those days. Yeah, it's incredible. Now he's a world star. Well, and I think it could be Paul Wanner as a number 10. Take a look at him.
Okay.
Hopefully he will have a good match. Not good enough.
Hopefully
to get away with something. But we have to take care of him. We cannot leave him alone.
Okay. And who do you think Marco Rose is going to send out?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
I think it's now the 4th time in a row that I command to go back from this back 3 last defensive line. Because
Marco,
on the other hand,
will you listen, Marco? What do we need to do so you listen?
I don't know. One thing is obvious. It just does not work because we ain't got no center back that is strong enough to be responsible for creating plays all the time. On the other hand side, it's just no need to play that defensively versus Heidenheim. So please bring back the back 4. Gulaschi in goal. Raum, Orban, Lukeba. Orban back from his suspension. Only got 1 game suspension. And, Heidenheim has trouble with speed. So please bring Mr. Nedeljkovic. That's the correct pronunciation because, our stadium announcer, Tim Tölke, put up a little workshop.
Did he?
On Bluesky. Yeah, he did.
Gotta follow that.
You have to follow him. Where he explained how it's the correct pronunciation from Nedeljkovic because the the J is it's like you don't hear when you pronounce the name. And he already told us how to pronounce the other guy that just joined in winter. It's Gomis.
Oh, Gomis. Okay.
Gomis. Yeah. So the S.
Practice.
It's not like Paris in French where you leave the S that you don't hear it. But with Gomis, you have to pronounce it with. Anyway,
I hope we are prepared. Do say the name again. I love it. Do it again, please.
Nedeljkovic will be our right back. And then, Campbell, Haidara back, and defensive midfield, Baumgartner and Simmons, because Nusa's still out, unfortunately. And Shesko and Openda. I think, although Openda acts like, a diva sometimes, but he has to play from the very beginning. He's not a player that come from the bench and turn things around.
Has he learned from Timo Werner, do you think?
Maybe it's Timo Werner in disguise.
Hopefully not. I think he's doing much better right now.
But he's still, and now this circle comes to a close again, because you mentioned that those Tottenham supporters are not very confident right now and not satisfied with the way they are playing. So they don't bring Timo Werner. They have to bring Timo Werner because he scores when he wants. He scores when he wants. His name is Timo. He scores when he wants.
And his nose is never offside. There you go.
Never.
Excellent.
Because it's always his whole body.
That's true. Gosh, I remember the times he was offside. Had a great chance, bottled it, but it was offside anyway. Gosh, I'm being so harsh. Anyway, and sometimes Openda likes to be offside as well and bottle things. But I'm sure he'll be back with a vengeance. What's your prediction in terms of score for Sunday?
I think we will see glimpses of excellence in a 4-0 victory.
I'm going with a 3-0. Clean sheet again, 3-0. And guys, would you like to congratulate Richard? Because he's won tickets again. You what's it?
Woohoo!
So there you go.
Blackbox strikes again.
Like the 1,200 times in a row. But hey, there you go. Thank you, Richard. Well, this has been Bulls and Red for this week. We'll be back next Friday. I think next week is rather busy, so we won't be recording before Friday. But we'll be looking at Sunday's Clash and Wednesday's Clash. If you're impatient and you know a little bit of German, do check out our German version, which is RBL Compact, which is never going to be longer than 20 minutes and 9 seconds. So it's very compact, and we're pushing that out at the beginning of the week. Next week's going to be Tuesday, and, well, actually Thursday, Friday as well. Guys, have a good weekend. Support RB Leipzig. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully we're going to go away with the 3 points. If you like this podcast, it would be great if you could subscribe to it. Leave us a comment if you wish, or give us some stars as well. That would be awesome. Follow us on our socials. If you want to send us an email, you can do so at podcast@bullsandred.com. Thanks again. We very much appreciate everyone who's listening to this little podcast of Which is at Home at Leipzig, made for you wherever you are. Richard, vielen Dank. And I like to conclude with Auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.